Bulvilaka everyone, this is Mason and Zoyal with you here on Island Time. Thank you for tuning on this episode. We have a very special guest and I'm going to let Zoyal introduce our guest this wonderful morning.
Today on the couch we have Mr. Clarence Dass. Mr. Clarence Dass, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I know I can't do it justice.
First of all, you got to stop calling me Mr. Clarence Dass. I'm just Clarence is fine. Thank you very much. And Bulavinaka, my name is Clarence. I work as a video editor at USP, but I've sort of been working in media for like since 2003. Started in radio, news. No, actually technically I was working in high school as well. I started music reviews for the Fiji Sun. So started newspapers, radio, television. Yeah, I like comic books. I played too much video games. And
you said that you started back in 2003. That was a year after I was born. So that kind of tells you how long
you should just call me Mr.
So Clarence, I want to talk to you about your inspiration. What was the reason you got into art in the first place? What was that drawed you into it?
I think growing up I didn't have it. I had a lot of influence from cartoon shows, and I grew up on. We didn't have television, so we were on that VHS culture. You know, where you get a VHS tape and you just watch it to death.
Yeah, I've seen that in the back of our cupboard.
Yeah. So I would go down every Friday night. We'd go pick a VHS, you watch it. So I grew up on all that. So Saturday morning cartoons, He-Man, Batman, Transformers, that kind of stuff. My favorite one was this. We used to have this movie on VHS, which I have on Blu-ray now, called Fire and Ice. It was a Ralph Bakshi production. Ralph Bakshi was pretty famous in the 70s, and because he would do rotoscoping, get them to act stuff out and then draw over them. So Fire and Ice was one of my favorites. So and then I got into comic books when I was about maybe 6 or 7. I started buying comic books for $1 each from Joe's Farm, which was this shop in Reg Avenue. And I got into comic books, and then just surrounded the mediums I loved was sort of made from art. I loved movies as well. That's an art form to itself. I grew up on RoboCop and Predator and all these things. I could watch anything with violence, but my dad would fast forward the sex. Like the sex was taboo, but someone getting their hand blown off or their head cut off, whatever.
All that's fair game. All that's fair game.
I pretty much very much a product of the 80s.
So you talk about the 80s. So when you grew older and you realized, at what point in your teenage, I would assume, life would you think, okay, I want to do this as a career now?
Oh man, no. See, that's the thing. I didn't. When I was in high school, I got into music really hard. So I used to have a band which I formed in Form 7 with a couple of my close friends, and so it was like a punk. Well, we started off as an acoustic band called Dive. And then we had a punk rock band called Zombie Underground.
So what instruments do you play?
I played guitar and I used to sing.
And this was back...
This is like 99, 2000. So we would... the first gig we ever had was the Rock Market. The first ever Rock Market. We played at that. So I wanted to be a musician.
That
was my first passion. I really loved music. I used to write my own songs. I had some really cool music. So we were all we thought we were gonna be musicians so bad that even during our exams we would just guys the exam paper and just write songs. And then played gigs probably 2-3 years after that. Two different bands. When Dive fell through, Zombie Underground, so we would play Golden Dragon. And these were paid gigs, So but then after a while, it's just the music scene back then was just ripe with so many bands. But then after a while, the money wasn't that good for us, unless you were gigging hotels or
big events.
Big events, and us being a punk band.
It's kind of niche back in the day.
And punk is cool because you can barely play your instruments, but still make stuff, So so that fell through. So I got into newspaper writing. I used to do music reviews. With the boombox. Remember the boombox that used to be at the Boulevard? No.
No.
Okay, that's how old I am. So we had this CD shop at the Boulevard called the Boombox, and it was run by this guy named Navneil, and he was like the coolest guy, and we would get just cross section of all kinds of music. So every week he'd give me a CD and I'd review it, and then from there I got into radio. I was a debt collector for a while, so I never really planned. A career, I wish I could tell you there's some formula. I mean, I used to draw comics back in high school as well. I used to draw this thing called Vinny the Soul Drinker. I used to watch
Vinny the Soldering. It was like a ghost type of thing.
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of Invader Zim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I got into Jonan Vasquez's art, and he had a book called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which is the first book I ever bought on Amazon when we could start ordering from Fiji, 2001 or 2000. So I started. So it was about this homicidal maniac. So my book was Vinny the Soul Drinker.
Yeah.
It's about this dude that drinks people's souls.
Yeah.
It was some dumb shit, but it was fun. Enjoyed with my friends, and on the strength of that kind of set me down some kind of path, because on the strength of that, I got into animation school.
Yeah.
I did animation in 2004 because I love drawing.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've been doing all my life.
And how did you get through that animation school? Where was it?
Okay, it was at FIT at the time, which is FNU now.
Yeah.
In 2004, they were doing this program where they got these animators from the States called Modern Cartoon to run a program here for 1 year. So you learn for 1 year and then work for 1 year. And some of the guys one of the guys they brought over, this was like the cream of the crop kind of gang, veterans, you know. One of the guys they got over was even like an executive producer on Invader Zim.
Oh my God.
That's the caliber of gang they got. And then there's a guy named Bob. You might know him later on. He was Santa Claus for Digicel. Do you remember that? When Digicel would have a Santa Claus on stage, there's this white guy with the big beard.
Yeah.
He originally came here as an animator.
Yeah.
He loved Fiji so much, he just stayed. He passed away last year. Bless him. But so that's how I got into animation. Thing is, it just fell through though.
Yeah.
Like the program, it was just taking too long. I think the idea of this training gang who had never done animation to do projects just didn't. Too much pressure, you know? Yeah.
And who are like some of the other like alums of this school, like along with you? Any people we may recognize?
Yeah, a lot of them. You interviewed Meli Tungota.
Yeah.
He actually taught after that. After the overseas gang left,
Yeah.
he spent a year or two teaching animation. Michael John Light, who also works with me at CFL.
Yeah.
Center for Flexible Learning. So he's an amazing 3D modeler.
Yeah.
If you would have seen Meli's
Solimbula.
I
saw that.
He modeled the Drua that's on that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Probably one of the best 3D modelers, I think, who's just underused, because the 3D modeling scene is just, the 3D scene here is not that big.
So the gang that made Solimbula, like most of the older, I don't want to say older, but like some of the more experienced guys, like all of them, they were in that original.
Zoyal and Mason, who's now with, I think he's with SPC in Numer. He was on it as well.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of gang. Josh Tonganivalu, just like they were like sort of the graphic gang. Josh, you might see if you go to the white tables.
Yeah.
That big mural on the wall.
Yeah.
He did that.
Yes.
He used to do that kind of stuff, you know? Yeah. So just crazy mad art, you know? Yeah.
Talking about like all of this stuff, like going to animation school, you know, and spending time in radio and of course doing TV. How did all of that? Okay, we're gonna move like to present day now. How did all of that sort of inspire you to do Salonialo, Path of the Shades, your comic that you did? I know you talked about it being a class project that you were doing, and it all of a sudden like spiraled into being a published comic. How did that like come about?
So about 3 years ago, I decided to just I just started drawing a lot more, and I decided to just do comics. I did a Batman comic called Batman Eldritch, because I love Batman.
Yeah.
So I decided to do a fan comic, and I put that online, and overnight it got like 100,000 views.
Oh my God.
And then I did like a Ninja Turtle comic called TMNT Apex, which again overnight got like 80,000 views.
Whoa.
Yeah. So these are all online if you want to look them up. Batman Eldritch and TMNT Apex. And then I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. I can do comics, you know? So around that time, I decided, I came up with this character called the Mangrove.
The Mangrove.
Yeah, which was like sort of my version of like the Swamp Thing. You know? And I was working on that book. And then I also decided to start studying at USP.
Yeah.
Because kids, you know, no matter what you do in life, you need education.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially now, when you're going to have tons of experience. You're going to get the papers for it. You're not going far.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like in some fields, it might work out.
Yeah.
But just to have that qualification really
seals the deal.
Really seals the deal, you know? So I decided to go back. I started doing Pacific studies because I love drawing. And because even as a filmmaker, I was doing a lot of stuff in the Pacific. One of my first projects was a movie called A Day at the Beach, which was my first World TV Award. Well, I say like I got 2. It was my World TV Award. And that was about Fiji, in the Pacific and things like that. So I decided to do Pacific Studies to learn more about it. And then there was a component of the Pacific Studies where you could do an art project.
Yeah.
And instead of doing like an essay or something. So I spoke to my professor and I got to do a comic book. So I did Salinialo. And it was not meant to be published at all. As I was doing it, I would share pages online. And I'm on this Facebook page called Cartoonist Kfeb, which is a great page, which also has a YouTube channel as well. And it's a bunch of independent artists sort of sharing art and talking about comic books and things like that. And so I was sharing pages from my comic on that page. And this guy named Sean Robinson messaged me and was like, hey, man, this stuff looks really good.
Yeah.
Can I have a look at the book when it's done or something? So I sent him the book and he loved it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you want to publish it?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was
This
like,
is
shit. So I wasn't, I had no intention of publishing this book. So this is the most purest personal project I could have, And it's amazing that someone saw some value in it.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of selling and being published all over the world. I can't believe it.
You said like you were doing like Pacific Studies. What class was it like exactly? The class?
Because that one there in particular was Pacific Thought, Philosophy, and Ethics.
Probably.
So,
can you take it as an elective? I'll probably take it.
Probably. A lot of these 400 units, you could probably do them as electives.
Oh my God, it's a 400 units. So forget about it.
It's a really cool course. And what I really love about it is, originally I was going to do a comic book I was going to do a 100-page book on the 100 nights. Each night.
Yeah.
And then I was doing research in that, and I was working very closely with this wonderful dude named Simeone Sevendrendre from the Itoke Cultural Affairs at the time. Now he's doing his own NGO. But that was a bit too ambitious. Given the time constraint, the 100 nights, 100 pages.
Yeah.
Instead, what I decided to do was during my research and just going through all these writings from like the 1800s, 1600s, all that kind of stuff, I found sort of this passage called Salinialo, Path of the Shades, which is sort of like this loose story of what happens to the spirit in the afterlife. And this is a belief according to the gang from the Rao province, because each province
has its own different
belief. And I thought that was so fascinating. So I worked with Mr. Sevendrendre, and we fleshed out the story, because there wasn't like a cohesive story.
It
was like bits and pieces.
It was just like loose ideas, just like trying to find something.
So Salinialo is sort of like a bunch of loose ideas to form a narrative, but very much what was believed to be happening in the afterlife.
It's kind of like how all artists say like nothing's really original. You take like ideas that that are interesting, then you put them all together, and it forms like a whole new thing.
But also in the sense like the story was there, but like there was no ABCD. There was no clear path, because like even the character, like there's so many things that happen to him that you don't see in the book. And there's little mentions. And I'd love to flesh those stories out, So, but and even like the characters, there was no like visual description of them. So I made sure to it was a fun challenge to have like a visualization of these characters, like Vimba the ferryman. I based him on these old effigy statues, and the character John Langi, I based him on like these serving bowls, and things. Like, so I wanted all the designs to be very Fijian, not just pluck them out of anywhere.
I've been through like some of like the art, and of course I follow you on Instagram, and you always like, I think during lunchtime or something, you draw something and then you put it on there, and it's very interesting. But one of the things I caught up on is you have a very particular style in like the way you draw. Like I think yesterday, or was it the day before, I think after the TMNT thing came out, like the cast and everything, you started doing a few like TMNT sketches, and they were really interesting because they were in the sort of like in the art style that you used in the main character for Salinialo. So like, what is it about that style that you really love?
There's a lot of stuff that I draw and that you don't see. So I'm always practicing art, and I'm always doing figure drawings and shading and all this kind of stuff. But maybe like around just before I did Salinialo, I decided that I want to be a cartoonist more than an illustrator. If that makes sense. I like the minimalistic style. I like being able to do something with the fewest lines possible. So a lot of the artwork that I follow I like Gendy Tartakovsky from Primal, Samurai Jack, you know,
Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
that style.
Yeah.
Or like Tintin, Herge,
Yeah.
I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Josh Simmons, who is like this artist that I was just crazy for last year.
Yeah.
I've been looking at sort of people who are more cartoonists
Yeah.
than illustrators. So
Yeah.
that's the style I go for.
Yeah.
I like to sort of keep my things sort of very loose. And I don't want to say expressionist,
Yeah.
but yeah, like an expression of art, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you draw something and you let like other people have interpretations of what that could mean.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole thing with the book as well.
Yeah.
But also it's just like it's just I like the loose, free flowing
Yeah.
style
Yeah,
of it, you know?
yeah.
The cartooning. I get bored very easily. If I had to sit there and draw a book for like a whole day,
Yeah.
I'd get bored. So I like to just dish it out, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned briefly Day at the Beach, one of the short films that you did. I think you've done like a few others. I'm going to try to like name all of them like right off the top of my head. Hopefully I can remember. You've done one that I saw at the Rama Art Festival last year called Envy.
Right.
Which I think Ben Wheeler mentioned that it's very similar to Us, but you did it like a few years before Us came out.
Crazy.
So, yeah, crazy. I think you also did a zombie apocalypse one, very 28 days inspired, 28 days later inspired. And you also did one called Choke, which was about like was it about depression or something like that?
Yeah.
So can you like just briefly like go over like those short films and how like they came about? I know this is like from a bit back, but
yeah, no, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I used to blog all this stuff, so
Yeah.
I remember all of it. You can probably find the blogs for it with more detail. What do you call it? Kania Niyalumbula was my first short
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
One of my biggest probably cheerleaders advocates is my friend Michael John.
Yeah.
He's the one who encouraged me to make a comic book. He's
Yeah.
always pushing me, and he was the one who pushed me to make Kania. And we made that for the Kula Film Festival back in
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah.
We shot that over a day at the Below Battery, and it was very much inspired by 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
We even just chored the music from it
Yeah.
and put it in there as well. So, but yeah, I love zombie movies.
Yeah.
It's an obsession of mine. At the time, I had a blog called Zen and the Art of Zombies, where I would draw a zombie every day
Yeah.
and post it. Yeah, it was like a homage to 28 Days Later and Night of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
which is like my favorite. And for Envy,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you might say like, oh yeah, it came out before Us, but Envy was pretty much inspired by Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, all three of there's like three versions of that
Like-
movie from the 50s, 70s, and 90s. And it's just the whole story of these plant people that come from space,
Yeah.
and they take on our form and our personalities to replace us. So it's about these plant people. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was and that was a fun project. We shot that over 2 nights and a day at my friend Michael's house.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because the characters, if you notice, there's a lot of them playing double roles.
Yeah.
So they had to be in different stages of makeup
Yeah.
and things like that. So we shot them sort of. We storyboarded the whole
Yeah.
thing, so we were at the mercy of the storyboard, and it was very experimental as well.
Yeah.
We wanted to because after we did Kania, which is just a straightforward show up,
Yeah.
zombies run. We wanted to do something really fancy.
Yeah.
Sadly, we didn't win that year. We came second, but the guys who came first were really good. This guy named Rupeni Wangovo. He did a book. He did a short film which was sort of based on Texas Chainsaw.
Oh
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw,
It
the
did.
But in the, but in,
Yeah.
but in the Pacific, boy, it was crazy. So when we came second, it was good. We didn't mind.
Like
coming.
you felt okay. Yeah, you guys.
Oh no, yeah. If you,
But we're still good. Yeah.
yeah, no, like I mean, like there's different kinds of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But like I saw merit in his work, you know.
Yeah.
The worst thing is if you, like for me, it's like art is art. I
Yeah.
hate competing because it's not so much insecure. When I make a project, it's so personal
Yeah.
that if it loses, like I feel bad. Like
Yeah.
not for the project or not for myself. I feel bad for the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like did I not do the project justice?
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but like when I saw Rupeni's film, I was like, no, this is good. It was so well done, well shot. They went on a boat. They went to an island, and
Yeah.
the cinematography was great. Choke, which is the
Yeah.
third one you mentioned, that was a very short project. It was
Yeah.
about a minute long.
Yeah.
We shot that like in a day. I shot mostly just me. I just shot it on the phone,
Yeah.
and it was for this project with the European Union.
Yeah.
They did a workshop on how to do scripting and how to make videos with a social message.
Yeah.
It was for that.
We were talking about some of the short films that you did, and you talked about like your inspirations for your zombie short film, which was 28 Days Later and Night of the Living Dead. Take me through like some of like your favorite stuff in like pop culture. You mentioned Batman. You did a comic about Batman.
Batman is the best. Just putting it out there. No argument.
we'll get to that argument. Right? No, I like him too. And you also like love TMNT. Just take me over like some of the other stuff that you like really love.
I think my first passion was Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles.
I mean,
everyone just like gets hooked
when I was about 6 years old. The TMNT craze hit. It was 88 and it was just everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because my grandmother at the time was in Australia. She was there for 4 years. So she would send me the turtle toys.
Yeah.
So I had everything. I had everything. I had the turtle wagon. I had the Ninja Turtles. I had Shredder, Bebop. I had all of them, and I had all the episodes on VHS. I still love those. So that was my first craze, and it's never left me.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because after I watched the cartoons, when I grew out of the cartoons, I discovered the comic books by Mirage Comics.
The comic books are really good.
Because the comic books are very different from the cartoon show.
Yeah.
Very violent. For the first 10 episodes, the first 10 issues, very much centered around the Turtles and Shredder and kind of the elements we're very familiar with. But then after that, they go crazy. They go into space. There's like mutant Tyrannosaurus things. There's like there's a 3-issue arc where they're in feudal Japan. Those guys.
These are comics.
These are all comics. The Mirage run, and they went nuts with these things, and they would get the best artists at the time. To work on these things, and these artists went on to become like big artists in the industry. Because the Turtles, when they first started, it was just 2 dudes in their living room. You know, Mirage Comics. They called it Mirage because it was like a dream. It wasn't real. You know. And then after that, I got into the Ninja Turtle comics from Frank Fosco, who I'm actually friends with on Facebook right now, which is crazy. He used to draw turtles for Image Comics. And those were really cool. But Batman, I didn't really appreciate Batman. I mean, as a kid, I had the T-shirts, the toys and stuff. I loved the '89 movie. I went to watch that at Regal. But I didn't start to appreciate him until I got into I read like The Dark Knight Returns. I read like Batman Year One.
This
Long
is
Halloween.
Frank Miller stuff, right?
I love Frank Miller. Frank Miller is my favorite Batman. Even his All-Star Batman, which a lot of people hate because they say it's too violent and disturbing. I think the coolest thing about the Turtles, what the Turtles and Batman have in common, is there's a version of them for everybody. And because so many artists and creators have worked on them, they've been around forever. You know. And so like my favorite Batman, I hate, and I don't use that word like
a lot.
I hate the current Batman books because I don't like the extended family.
I think it's way too big.
The Bat Family. I'm not into that. Like even Gotham Knights, I'm not gonna play it.
But
I'm not gonna play it. But I like Batman by himself,
solo.
Maybe one active Robin.
One Robin's probably the best.
And then you can have the other characters. But my favorite Batman, I like Batman when he is boots on the ground detective. Fighting crime bosses. The most he might get is like he'll fight like Clayface or he'll fight like Killer Croc, you know? But when he's like fighting Darkseid and he's becoming a god and he's got the power gauntlets and all this kind of, it's too much.
It's too much.
I think the best rendition of Batman is the old animated cartoon from the 90s. The 90s Batman cartoon. Detective Batman.
The Batman, the animated series.
The animated series. So it's got a lot of fantastical elements, but Batman's always the grounded one. You know? And I like Frank Miller's stuff as well, because I like the way I think he writes Batman a little bit crazy and obsessive. And you have to be crazy
and obsessive
to be a grown man dressed as a bat. Fighting bad guys.
Exactly.
That's not normal. You know? He's unhinged.
Yeah.
I like there's 2 things I think people there's one thing I think the people who get that Bruce is the mask and Batman's the real
Batman's
personality,
the actual
that's
person.
the best books for me. And the opposite for Superman. I love Superman. He's like one of my favorite heroes. People don't know what to do with him, but I feel like the people who get that Clark Kent is the real man and Superman is the mask, that's the best books. Because like you have Diana, who's this Amazonian god. Bruce is this billionaire turned vengeance. And then you have this Clark Kent, who's this farm boy
Yeah, but he's like
who
the
has
strongest.
to be this, who's the strongest man in the world. When Bruce was learning martial arts and Diana was learning to be queen,
Yeah.
he was trying to ask Lana Lang out to throne. You know, like he's like the normal. He has to pretend to be this big
strong guy
personality. That's the stuff I like with Superman. So
you said you like for Batman, you love that when like the books that portray like Bruce as sort of the alter ego and Batman as like the main guy. Going through all of the movies, like the Nolan movies, the Burton movies from like back in the day, and the Matt Reeves one most recently, which one of those 3 iterations of Batman do you love the most?
When I watched the Matt Reeves one in cinema, I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I saw elements of some of my favorite books in there. I saw Long Halloween.
Yeah.
I saw Batman Year One, and it was great. But I think, and I love the '89 Batman.
Yeah.
This is so wacky.
Yeah,
it's so comic booky. It's like Caution to the Wind, and it's just like a nice, fun movie.
Yeah.
I feel like the best representation for me, or the best one, it's a no-brainer. It's Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's like on IMDb's like top 5.
It's not. It's just a really well-made movie, and then you see Batman's obsession in there. You know, he's impulsive, he's obsessive, and that's what the Joker's there to show. Like you know, like how you don't
the
have
Joker's
everything
there to like push him over the
together.
edge.
You know, yeah. Although not my favorite version of the Joker.
Yeah. Well.
But my favorite version of the Batman for sure.
So what is your favorite version of the Joker?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. Yes.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, he's very much like Jack Nicholson's Joker. He's very much like the Joker from like the comics. He's very wacky. He's very weird, and he's just absolutely bonkers. He's just like off his balls.
Okay. See, that this is what I don't like about these modern superhero movies.
Yeah.
I feel like the Dark Knight movies, Heath Ledger's Joker, great Joker, but they made Joker too likable.
Yeah.
People think he's cool.
Yeah.
People, oh man, you want to know how I got these scars? You know, like he's so quotable.
Yeah.
He's so cool. And you might think like, oh, he's like a dog who you don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, he's not going to want to do.
But you know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's disrupting the mob.
Yeah.
He's cutting their cash flow.
Yeah.
He's bringing out the guy who's going to squeal on them.
Yeah.
He's not as mysterious as he thinks he is, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Jack Nicholson, he's just crazy.
Yeah.
You can't predict.
Yeah,
He's unpredictable.
You don't know what he's going to do next.
And it's to a stupid clown level.
Yeah.
He's the clown prince of evil.
Yeah.
You know? I like that about him.
And you got then you have Jared Leto.
To be fair, man, like
Jared Leto,
I feel he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I feel the overall direction for those movies
was kind of
didn't work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But because you can't like say, tell everyone that the Joker's going to be in the movie and the Joker's in the movie for what?
5 seconds.
5
whatever.
seconds.
No, yeah.
Like, because I think his Joker had potential. I know people hate it when like people say stuff like that Jared Leto's Joker was good in some way. I think it had potential.
No, I think so. Dude, I think, like I said, every generation has their version of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And these alliterations of these characters keep them alive.
Yeah.
And if they would have given him, there could have been room for a nice sort of juiced up, tattooed, grill-wearing Joker.
Joker.
You know? There could have been a space for that. It just wasn't done properly.
And I think there was like a theory that this Joker, the reason, and this is mostly because of Jared Leto's casting, because he's old as hell, but he looks so young. People thought that this was going to be like Dick Grayson being Joker, which I would have loved.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That's giving them too much credit.
Yeah, that's giving I think I don't know why he was so intent on making sure that people didn't think that this was Dick Grayson. He came out in an interview and said, people think that, oh, this Joker is like Dick Grayson because he's so much younger. He said, that's not the case. Thinking that they had a better idea behind it. I was like, if everyone wants that, just do it. It's perfect and everyone will love it.
Yeah, I guess maybe I feel like they had like an arc for these characters.
Yeah.
And it just didn't end up anywhere.
Because he's Batfleck's Joker and Ben Affleck's Batman's Joker. And I think his Dick Grayson is dead as well. And there's no Jason Todd. So it would have been great if, I think there was another thing they could have done is have Jason Todd be the one that kills Dick Grayson. Maybe. And then he becomes like the Joker.
Why would Jason kill Dick though?
I think he just like, it's
jealousy or
yeah, I think it's because Ben Affleck's Batman, he's really like crazy, like uses guns and stuff and everything. So I think there was like a point where he could have saved Jason and he didn't because he was so intent on not killing anyone. He doesn't kill the Joker and Jason just goes like crazy and tries to kill him, tries to kill everyone in the Bat family, tries to kill Alfred, and then
So you've thought
Just
of
goes
this
crazy.
thoroughly.
The thing is,
no, like I'm a big Batman fan as well, and
I feel like that would be a disservice to Jason.
yeah, because
know?
Jason's a Red Hood character. I
Yeah.
love him, but I hate that he always gets a redemption arc. I think he should be evil just once. I think he deserves to be evil just like.
So you want him to be a villain?
I want him to be a hardcore
Just
villain.
go villain,
Just go full
but
villain.
no coming back.
No coming
Because
back.
I hate this anti-hero bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
Like-
either you're in or out.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
because
Yeah.
Jason's very much an
Yeah.
anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like that's what I dislike about him. Like
Mm.
one of the greatest anti-heroes of like on screen ever is Zuko, right? For me. And I love the fact that he went from being a full-on villain to being an anti-hero to eventually becoming a hero. I want Jason to have sort of like the reverse on that. Him being a hero, like being one of the Robins, and then kind of being an anti-hero when he comes.
See, again, okay, so with the Avatar stuff,
Yeah.
I don't think Zuko was a villain.
He was more broken than a
He was a
villain.
his dad was a
Yeah.
villain.
His dad
Yeah.
was a villain.
Yeah.
He was
His
more
dad
broken.
was a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Zuko was just I mean, you could argue that the best, road to hell paved
Yeah.
with good intentions. But Zuko was just a lost boy
Yeah. that
Yeah.
is very
trying
true.
to
Yeah.
please his dad.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why Uncle Iroh was always
Yeah.
there, because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
believed in Zuko.
Yeah.
And Zuko doesn't, to be a villain, you have to do bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zuko doesn't do anything bad.
Well, not really, but
What does he do?
He does threaten an entire.
But he doesn't do anything bad.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Like you have like someone like Black Adam,
Yeah.
who's supposed to be this anti-hero, and all he does is kill bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're the good guy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can stop saying you're the bad guy. 'Cause
Yeah.
You don't do anything bad. You haven't killed anybody who doesn't deserve it. You know. And but for me, I like anti-heroes where you question something, like the Punisher.
Yeah.
The Punisher is an anti-hero.
Yeah.
You know, he will kill bad guys, and that's not allowed. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to be killing. In there, he works in the comic book universe because the other heroes aren't willy-nilly killing
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Someone like Black Adam doesn't work in the DC universe because the DC heroes just kill people all the time. There's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
cities getting smashed.
Like
Yeah.
Batman
Wonder
kills
Woman-
everyone.
Yeah,
like
Wonder Woman
Superman
will
like destroys
Will
an entire
suplex somebody through
Yeah.
a wall.
Yeah.
That guy's eating out of a straw for the rest of his life. You know, like
Exactly.
so it doesn't make sense. But no, Zuko definitely no.
Yeah.
He's a hero, man. He's probably one of my favorite
Yeah.
characters in the Avatar.
No, he is
series.
my favorite
Yeah,
character
yeah.
in that.
But I don't see him as a villain.
Yeah.
I don't see him as a villain. Definitely his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His dad's like.
What's his name? What's the father's name?
Fire Lord.
Fire Lord
Ozai,
Ozai.
You
He's
have to say the
villain.
Fire Lord and then Ozai
Fire Lord
just comes up.
Yeah. But I feel like with Jason,
Yeah.
he had a bad rep only because he was following Dick Grayson,
Yeah.
who's arguably the best. My favorite Robin is Tim Drake.
Tim Drake.
I feel like he's the closest
Yeah,
to
because
Batman.
he's like
He's like mini Batman.
yeah, mini
Yeah.
Batman.
Damian Wayne is just annoying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't mind him as well.
Okay.
Jason never got a shot. He kind of
Yeah.
came in after Dick Grayson became Nightwing. He was around for a while, and that whole thing was like a publicity stunt.
Because I think they had like a contest or something,
You
right?
call.
You call and you vote like
you
what?
call, you vote if you want us to kill him or not.
Yeah.
People didn't think they would do it,
Yeah.
and,
And
they all
did
just
it.
voted kill him.
Yeah.
And then they killed him. You know.
That's how unlikable of a character he was. That
Yeah.
people actively
But
voted.
I don't know about unlikable. I also think people just wanted to push
Yeah.
the envelope to see if they would
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
You know.
They're not gonna do it. Next minute they do it.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think he's got the most. He was interesting. Like his story is very interesting. He
Yeah.
was Batman found him. He was trying to steal tires from
Yeah,
the Batmobile.
exactly.
You know, things like that. So interesting character, but just didn't have a decent run. I can't think of any good run with him in it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a '90s kid, so I grew up on Tim Drake most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there just in time to see Dick Grayson become Nightwing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Red Hood movie that they did, the animated movie, that's probably still the best thing with Jason Todd and Red Hood in it.
I've read
because-
all of that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these movies.
No, these movies are good.
I haven't seen any of the animated movies. I didn't even bother watching Long Halloween. I watched Dark Knight Returns because that's my favorite.
Yeah,
I
me
liked it, and it had bloody RoboCop as what's his name, Peter Weller as Batman, which is great. I
Yeah.
always thought that Paul Verhoeven would make a great Batman movie because
Yeah.
RoboCop is almost like Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen any of them. But the comics were great.
Yeah, the
I love that
comics.
when the return of Jason Todd. That was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about Jokers, and I think we kind of like we didn't talk about the guy that got his own actual movie,
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix
Mm,
in The
Joaquin
Joker.
Phoenix, yeah.
What did you think about that one?
Interesting.
Interesting.
But again, it just made it. They gave him too much rhyme and reason.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's just he's a broken man. All those guys were pushing him around on the subway.
Yeah.
They deserved it.
Yeah.
That's not.
I think the idea of the joke is just he's a psychopath.
It doesn't make sense.
He does it because he wants to do it.
Like all the villains, they challenge the Riddler challenges Batman mentally.
Yeah.
The Great Detective. Bane challenges him physically.
Yeah.
Catwoman maybe tempts it's temptation.
Yeah.
And then Batman is so organized and dedicated. The Joker is the chaos.
Yeah, he's just
makes no sense. What he's doing. Yeah. Even Two-Face is like the two parts of Batman, the two identities.
Yeah.
They all play a fast. Whether these were intentional or not. Yeah. That's what they've become to me.
And then you have Joker, where it's just like Batman is like, what should I do?
Yeah,
well, what about the ending of like the Joker movie? Like when he's like when he's talking to the psychiatrist, do you think this is like one of those cases where it's an unreliable narrator? He sort of tells the story from his perspective, making himself out to be the hero instead. Because if we just see the movie like just from a normal third-person perspective, he's going to be like a wacko, crazy dude showing up to a guy's house, like putting his fingers into the kid's mouth and stuff. Like he's like crazy, but because we're hearing the story from his perspective, him telling the psychiatrist like what happened, I think he makes himself out to be a bit of a hero in it. Because I think it's very American Psycho Patrick Bateman, like where he's telling the story of how I killed Paul Allen, but
and it never happened.
Yeah, it didn't happen. He's just like, I think it's definitely like one of the cases of like an unreliable narrator.
That's one thing about movies, which I love and I hate, because movies. Because I like watching something. I hate this stuff like, oh no. You see, because of the snap, everybody came in safe because the director said they came in safe.
They came in safe.
No. You show me in the movie what happened. You know? So for me, at face value, when you watch the movie, it's a certain narrative. But then you start working in all these things like unreliable narrator, all these things from like sort of script writing stuff, then it's like another layer. So I don't know for sure. It's pretty much, it's like the ending of what's that? Inception.
Yeah, it's like you. The totem's like still moving. So is he still in a dream?
Yeah, it's up to you. It's like, it's whatever you want to take from him. Do you want to believe that he's the Joker? He did all these things. Or do you want to believe that he's crazy? And I think that's the great thing about that movie. You know, you take from it whatever it is. But to be honest, though, for me, I never wanted to watch it again. Have you watched it since the cinema?
Inception?
Yeah, no, the Joker.
Oh, the Joker. No, I don't think. I've seen it once.
It's a little bit like I'm done.
I'm done. I've seen it now.
There's a lot of movies that I've watched over and over, and that one there is like, that's an interesting take.
I think the way you watch, like especially like cartoon, like series like that, is that the first time you go watch, just to go watch and enjoy it. Second one, and you break it down.
Exactly.
Break it down.
Yeah, I didn't feel the need to break this one
exactly.
down. Yeah, that's so true.
Is there any other Joker we're missing? Oh, what about
Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill's just like, he's god tier. He's Batman the Animated Series Joker. He's like god tier. We don't talk about him. He's great. What about like the Joker from, what was it, the Gotham series? Who wasn't really the Joker.
The Gotham series.
Yeah, I think he was played by the same guy from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh man, that one.
Was he the Joker, or was he like,
that whole movie was it for me? That whole series for me is an example of how DC just can't commit.
Yeah.
They can't. I don't know why they make these things.
Exactly. Like,
what are you doing? You know, like, either you make.
I think the idea of Gotham was great. It's just like the starting was good.
Yeah.
Towards the end, it was just like,
it just fell apart. I don't know who is it. The executives who's writing this, because like they should have just. I would have been more interested in seeing like maybe a teenage Batman training. With an older Alfred and maybe an established Gordon, and then it could just be the Joker. Yeah. But this whole like, is he not?
Yeah.
I don't buy it. Even the whole DC universe in the way, like, if they make a Flash movie, just use the guy from the TV show.
Yeah, exactly. Just use Grant Gustin.
Yeah. Give him a bigger budget. Whack a movie with him.
Exactly.
So instead of Superman Returns, they should have given Tom Welling a Superman movie.
Yeah.
At the end of Smallville. You know? But DC, I feel like they can't commit. They have the world's greatest heroes, and their movies are just.
I think at the end of the Flash movie, we'll have what is it, like 3? We have like 3 Batman at the end of it. We have like Keaton, we have Ben Affleck, and then we have Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson's. Yeah. So that's like 3 active mainline on-screen Jokers. I mean, not Jokers, Batman. And it's like it's amazing how they do it. They have 2 Flashes. They have two. No, they have one Green Arrow. It's just like so many versions of like the same
I'm
hero.
sick of it.
They could have just had like one guy just go around every.
I think Marvel did it well,
One
they've
by
had-
one.
Yeah, one
they've
by
had
one.
Iron Man throughout the whole thing. They didn't do
Yeah.
Iron Man. Okay, take away Robert Downey Jr., bring in somebody else.
Yeah, now now we're gonna do one with Tom Cruise where it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna give him a bigger budget than the first one, and then we're gonna have just like
We're gonna change all the directors, or change all the characters, change the enemy.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's a consequence of DC trying to catch up with Marvel.
yeah,
They saw what Marvel was doing, and they wanted to jump the gun.
yeah.
I think, and then they've just done it recently with the multiverse they're trying to build. Who's in Marvel and jumped over to DC? The director,
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
And then he's
Yeah.
got this plan that's already hand out,
Yeah.
and I hope that plan goes well because that's the same way that that Marvel had it. But
you hope that plan is going to be good, but it's like for the next 5 years we're just going to get like origin movies, not really origin movies, but movies where like we're getting introduced to a whole new cast of heroes, and
Yeah.
that's going to be the same thing for the next 5 years. So we're not going to get anything like concrete and good and like changing until 10 years from now.
For me, I always think I wish. For me, I feel like the DC heroes, like their strongest points. First of all, like the DC and Marvel heroes, the biggest difference in them is like the Marvel heroes for me are very grounded.
Yeah.
Because they come from New York, they come from like
Yeah.
the cities we know. You know, the characters are very grounded.
Yeah.
They're very human characters.
Yeah.
You can think that any one of them would die any minute.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
The DC heroes, they're sort of larger than life.
yeah,
Yeah.
overpowered.
Yeah, I think they're a bit overpowered, and I feel like a lot of people don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And even before the Snyder movies came out,
Yeah.
it was just
on
he's
like
too
on-
powerful. I can't be
yeah.
bothered. You know.
yeah,
I wish what Marvel would do is follow kind of what the Joker and the Matt Reeves movie are doing.
Yeah.
They take the movies and make them period pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like I would love to see like a Superman movie set in like the 50s.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
60s,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like maybe what you do is you make a Superman movie set in the 50s at the height of sci-fi.
Yeah.
People haven't been into space yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have this man from another world just, doing his thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then that Superman grows a little bit older. He ends up in the Matt Reeves Superman
Yeah.
as an older sort of
Yeah.
older
Yeah.
figure,
Yeah.
and he's a real Superman,
Yeah.
you know? Not a super young man or not a
Yeah,
Superman.
It's
Yeah.
like Superman.
You need a bit of experience,
Yeah.
man, you know? I'm sick of seeing Superman just starting to be Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And you throw in like a Green Lantern in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you skip Hal Jordan. You give us John Stewart.
Yeah,
You know,
John
you give us a colored Green Lantern.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? He's more interesting anyway. I love John Stewart, but I mean I love Hal Jordan, but John Stewart.
John Stewart, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to read his comic in the 90s,
Yeah.
Green Lantern Mosaic,
Mm.
which was crazy. It was him patrolling a sector in space where there's no laws of physics.
Yeah.
yeah,
So all this weird shit would happen. So he's
Yeah.
fighting all these, and his buddy was a little squirrel Green Lantern.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool book. They did so many interesting things with him in the
Mm.
80s and 90s, and now it's just so hard to get a black Green Lantern going. What's going on? you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think like with DC, like you should like work with your strong points. The only people that should really get movie, you should like build a hierarchy of superheroes. Like who are like the guys that will always get a movie, and who are the guys we can do with like series. Because I think giving Flash, Green Arrow, guys like these, like good series to sort of build out their characters
yeah.
because they're not really like box office characters.
Mm.
You know, you can say that you could do a Flashpoint movie like they're doing right now, and that's gonna make a lot of money. But the Flash character has been kind of been built over like 8
Well,
seasons of the Flash TV.
When DC relaunched in the Silver Age,
Yeah.
the Flash was their first big flagship character,
Yeah.
even before Superman and Batman
Yeah.
and all that. So the Flash, it has been a money earner. He's been very popular for
Yeah.
DC.
Yeah.
But movie-wise, yeah, maybe, and even TV shows. He
Yeah.
had the first TV show back in the 90s as well.
Yeah, at
with
the
Mark
90s
Hamill
he-
as the trickster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like what they need to do is maybe go the route of like Shazam or Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the real Captain Marvel. They should start doing the lesser known characters.
Yeah.
And do cool things with them,
Mm.
and take the chances that they can't take with the
Yeah.
bigger characters. Like I wouldn't mind seeing like a Guy Gardner movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Guy Gardner. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie.
I think they're
I'm
doing.
waiting for the Bloom Beetle.
Yeah, that'd be-
I'm
I
waiting
think,
for the
I
Bloom
think
Beetle
they're doing
movie.
Booster Gold as well. Like I think James Gunn is like in his original
But
monster.
those two, they should have got that guy, man. What's his name? Stifler from American Pie.
Yeah.
When he was there,
Yeah.
he would have made a kick-ass Booster Gold. You know?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's supposed to be like this loser
Like a
from the
douche.
Yeah.
He's a guy who couldn't make the football team.
Yeah.
He steals what is essentially a futuristic football uniform.
Yeah.
and comes back in time and becomes a superhero.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
That's like because that's like because he's not a good character. He's like very flawed and he's like
Yeah.
an ass. Like you turn him into like a good hero because it makes it's a good story. Everyone in like movies and TV shows, they're all like good guys to start with, and they just end up being good guys with
you
powers.
hit the nail, bro. I think that's the biggest problem with
Yeah.
the MCU right now.
Yeah, because everyone's a good guy.
No, because we've seen the movies where Tony is like the arrogant rich man
Yeah.
who becomes Iron Man. Captain America is sort of the naive soldier who becomes a hero.
Yeah.
Thor is this sort of pompous, arrogant god who becomes a hero.
Yeah.
And now they're all sort of like heroes, and we're like,
Yeah,
Okay,
what do we do?
what do we
with
do
them?
now? You know,
Yeah.
Like
there's
that's
no arc anymore. You know,
That's why I love like Moon Knight, because he's like 3 different personalities, and you have like the what's his name, Mark something.
that I love the start of the series.
It ended kind of
Towards
like,
the end of it, it just got
it got too MCU. There's like there's like kaiju fights in Egypt. Like, of course someone's gonna figure out, and eventually the Avengers are gonna show up.
Yeah.
Because it's
The other thing about the MCU is, I hate how like now they should just be like, oh shit, hey, Tony, or hey, Doctor Strange, I need your help.
yeah,
But
exactly.
why do they continue to just insist on working in isolation?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Like you're in a point where you have all of these superheroes that you can just call upon. It's just like it's a comic book universe now because you've built up all these characters. There's like 50 characters you could
Right.
do movies with, like in the MCU. That's how much they
Yeah.
build them over.
Yeah.
And most of them they've just been like side characters and stuff in other works. So you could just like make a small Avengers team, like a young Avengers, I think, which they're doing now.
Right.
Which you can show up in like almost every movie because it's cool. Because comics are cool when like other characters show up.
yeah,
I know most people don't like. They're like, oh, you're building the whole movie off of a cameo. But that cameo is fun. That's why Spider-Man was so good. Like all 3 Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland in one movie.
Yeah,
Like it made me appreciate the Holland Spider-Man a lot more. Because
I think it made me appreciate the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
yeah, I love the Andrew Garfield one that when it came out though.
Those things
I was
were
like
good. Those were good. I feel like they should just do the. They already know how popular it is. They should just do a 3rd movie now.
yeah,
you
they
know?
just do a 3rd movie where he's like just like old and like gritty.
Yeah.
Make him grow a beard and make him be the Spider-Man in like Spider-Verse or something. Like an on-screen Spider-Verse with
Spider-Verse
Miles.
was good. That wasn't Marvel though. That was Sony.
Yeah, that was
pushing
Sony doing them because
Yeah.
Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Marvel is just like sharing it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the 80s they sold the rights for.
Yeah, because they had
Marvel
no
was
money.
suffering, yeah.
no money. DC almost bought Marvel.
Yeah,
at that
exactly.
point. Yeah, that's crazy. That would have been insane.
Well, we'll have to cut for our second session, but thank you. We were nerding out. Did you guys see that? Yeah, but we're gonna go into our 3rd session very soon. Thank you for tuning in to Radio Pacific Island Time. We'll be back after this break. Pinaka. Pulvin Lakan, welcome back to Island Time. You have Mason, Zoyal, and Mr. Clarence Das here on the Island Time podcast. This is our 3rd session, and we'll just nerd out.
All right. So yeah, before we went into the break, at the start of the last session, we were talking about some of Clarence's favorite things that he enjoys, and TMNT came up. So I want to because we just
I
spent.
have a turtle tattoo as well.
What?
Oh my God! Is that Raphael?
Raphael, yeah.
from
Oh
the first issue.
Yeah.
The very first issue.
You're just like hiding that like the whole time. So I guess we know who his favorite character is.
Raphael.
So we're going to talk about some of our favorite TMNT projects. Because there's like a new TV show coming out. The trailer comes out, I think, next movie.
Movie.
Yeah, it's the trailers come. Wait, how do you do a movie with a cast that stacked? Like, how do you give time to everyone?
I don't know, man. Mutant Mayhem. I have no idea. It's gonna be mayhem. Yeah,
exactly.
And
Like,
Jackie Chan is Splinter. That's crazy.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And Giancarlo Esposito as like,
John Cena as Rocksteady.
yeah, that was really good.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about our favorite turtle projects, and we'll start with Clarence. How about you?
Okay. I think my favorite. I really love the 80s Mirage run, which is the original Insta comic books.
Yeah.
And they do get a little bit weird. They're a melting pot of some of my favorite stuff. Ninjas, Frank Miller. Because the first Ninja Turtle comic is pretty much a rehash of Daredevil.
Yeah.
The foot, the hand,
Yeah.
the hand, and Splinter, Stick.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite, the one, as much as I love the Mirage comics, and if Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird ever hear this, I'm sorry. It's the 90s Image run that kept me a fan.
The Image.
Because I got into the Mirage stuff pretty late, but in the 90s, after I sort of grew out of the cartoon show, I started reading the 90s Image run, and there were these amazing black and white comics by this artist named Frank Fosco.
Yeah.
And what happened was they were like a natural evolution of the comic books.
Yeah.
Like the comic books from the Mirage run, they were crazy.
Yeah.
They had the story arc of the Turtles beating Shredder. Then Shredder comes back and chases them to a farm, and there's all this fighting. But then there's like all this stuff with Krang.
Yeah.
And they go to different dimensions. There's different time periods. There's one crazy issue where Casey and Casey Jones and Raphael, they're fighting like these Mad Max characters.
Yeah.
They were crazy. They were very punk. They were very indie, and that was the indie scene back then as well. The indie scene was you would do things that mainstream comics couldn't do. So the violence, the humor was very exaggerated.
Yeah.
And the natural evolution for that for me was the Image run.
Yeah.
And in that one, there's stuff like Raphael, his face gets blown off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's wearing he's wearing the hockey mask all the time. Or like Donatello, he blows up. And he's part cyborg.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And yeah, man, there's crazy stuff. Like Leo has like a blade for a hand and all these things. It's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're not teenagers anymore. It's sort of like them. It's like in their
30s, 40s.
like in their prime almost.
Yeah.
Like they've sort of grown up and they've become these hard-edged, hardcore ninjas.
So kind of like late 20s and stuff. Like.
Yeah, and it's probably the most ninja they've ever been as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like out of all the incarnations.
Yeah.
Aside from like remember the Nickelodeon show, they toy with it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite version of the Turtles. I like because it embraces sort of like the monster comic side of the Turtles.
Yeah.
And the weirdness and the craziness of them.
Yeah.
So you like TMNT when it's like very experimental, very crazy, like incorporates weird aspects of like the stories into like the whole narrative.
I like it with an attitude.
Yeah.
You know, like they're
because teenagers, right?
They need to have an attitude. I like when they're loud and crazy and
Yeah. So what about you, Mason?
Mine, I think I really like the movies, the part 1 and 2, just because of the animation art style that they put on because on the cartoons,
Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you watch the cartoons, the Turtles have like clear green skin. Where if you watch the Michael Bay movies, they are like gruesome and tough.
Yeah.
And I really liked it in a way because like it made me like the Turtles even more because even though they look like that, you like them for their personality. You like them for being ninjas.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, that's so true. You know what you're touching on now is what the allure of the Turtles was back in the day. When the Turtles came out, it was all about like ooze and monsters and mutants. We had like Toxic Crusaders, Garbage Pail Kids, all these weird 80s. The 80s toys were gross for some reason. Bat Ball, and the turtle toys, they leaned into that. You had all these like Wing Nut, all these weird characters. And I like if that's what you like about the movies, you would have loved those characters back in the day. Yeah. Like
it speaks a lot to like don't judge a book by its cover because they look gruesome. They look they've got cracks on their shells and like cuts over here and there. But they're like it's Mikey being Mikey, Donatello being Donatello, Raphael being Raph, and then Leo being Leo. It's just that's what I liked about it.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess
oh
my god. Okay, so my favorite Ninja Turtles thing is probably the 2008 movie that came out. The full CGI movie. Leo, all of them, they've kind of like split apart. Leo's in Brazil. Leo's in Brazil, and Raphael's become this sort of a Batman.
Vigilante.
Yeah, he's
vigilante.
Yeah. So like and in that's where like Raph kind of became my favorite turtle because he's like this Batman-esque character who has a mask and like goes around killing everyone. Thing about that is they actually did a video game on the PS2 and it was one of the first games that I ever played on my PS2. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, which with all the like characters and all the levels and everything, they were just like from the movie.
Oh, nice.
And like you have like an opening section, the tutorial section in Brazil as Leo's training to be kind of like this old, like I think he's sent on this mission because the turtles, something vague happens and they all sort of split up and they go their own separate ways. Michelangelo's running a theme park, something like that, out of his van. And you have like all these levels of these different characters on their own little missions and stuff. So you have Leo in Brazil, you have Raph doing his shadow stuff, you have Mikey doing his theme park ride thing, where there's an entire level. You go around like on top of like big sort of balloons, and you have fighting people on top of the balloons of like on like a march or something. And I'm blanking on the name of the third turtle. Donatello.
Donatello. Yeah.
Donatello.
Was
So
fourth, okay.
you're in the
The
sewer.
fourth turtle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in the sewers with the Donatello fighting like all the foot ninjas and everything. And you go through and you like set up everything. And then eventually all the turtles, they come together and they sort of reform the team. You have Casey in there for a while. And the main villain of it is this sort of all of his compatriots have turned to stone, and he's the only one that's
he's in the movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in the movie as well. Yeah.
So he's like because it's like
it's a tie-in for the movie.
it's a tie-in for the movie, and it is probably the best turtles because the turtles are very mature in it because I think they've sort of felt the loss of like having to break up, having to go their separate ways. Everyone's kind of become their own character. Everyone's kind of become their own person. Like I think in the team of 4, I think Donatello and Mikey kind of like. They kind of put to the wayside as Raph and Leo sort of like fight over
leadership.
fight over leadership and stuff. And Raph always feels like he's overshadowed by Leo.
See, again, all these dynamics are sort of things that are sort of set up recently.
Yeah.
In the comics, they do have some of that sort of rivalry.
Yeah.
But everyone sort of has their place.
Yeah.
And it's all and they work more as a team.
Yeah.
And you talk about them being mature. Again, in the comics, if you read the Mirage run, which goes to like 100 episodes or something, 100 issues. There's lots of moments for them to mature in there. In fact, in the books, you see Mikey sort of become like from like sort of this easygoing turtle to just being like this really angry dude.
Yeah.
They touch on a lot of stuff you don't really get to touch on in mainstream stuff. But again, it goes to show, like I said, because of the different versions, there's something to love for everybody.
Something to love for everybody.
There's no like wrong version of the turtles to like. Like if you like it, that's great. And hopefully that sort of gets you into the other stuff that turtles do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, other than like just the dynamics that I talked about, is I always felt closer to Raph because I am like the second, I am the second kid.
Okay.
Like my brother's the older one, and like then it's me. Like I've always felt closer to Raph as a character.
But in the comics, Raph is the leader.
In the comics, Raph is the leader.
Raph is the leader.
How did
I
Leo
always thought
become
Leo
the
was
leader?
the leader.
So what was Leo?
I think they sort of just he's sort of like the cool-headed dude there, but mostly it's Raph calling all the shots.
Is he?
That's like a new thing that they do in the cartoons as well.
This is like a mind-blown moment. Like I've always seen Raph as kind of like the second.
Yeah, no, Raph is like he's sort of like a lot of the books are always about Raph as well. It's about him coming to terms with his anger, becoming a disciplined ninja.
So Leo was just like
Leo sort of has together all the time.
Yeah,
and he's there.
Yeah.
So wait, if Raph's the leader, if the hot-headed guy is the leader, then what does Leo do? Is he like he's chilling?
No, he's there. Like they work as a team.
Yeah.
But also, it's not like in the comic books, the leader is very it's Splinter.
Yeah.
It's
Splinter's their leader.
Yes.
He's their sensei.
Yeah.
So like Raph being the oldest, he has to just look after them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. He's the oldest turtle. Yeah.
So
what?
Raph's
Raph's the oldest turtle?
Yeah.
I always thought Leo was the oldest.
No.
I think it's all the media that about TMNT that have been exposed.
Different versions of them that change it up.
Because like in the movie,
the cartoon version seems something like the Peaky Blinders, where the second oldest
Thomas Shelby's kind of like
the leader because he's
because like in the movie as well, I think they mentioned, and in the cartoon,
Rises? TMNT Rises, the newest one, the newest.
The cartoon one,
the cartoon. I think Raph's the leader in that one as well, or at least not the leader, but he's also the oldest brother in that one as well.
Because I think like all the media that I've been
and
like,
Leo's like a mess up in that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
In the Rise, he's like a big show off.
Yeah.
Because he's like the best ninja, the best guy with the swords. So his whole story arc in Rise is like being humbled, and being like a cool ninja instead of being someone who's like a big show off.
Mind blown.
I've just had like my whole world sort of like flipped on its head because everything that I've been exposed to in terms of media about TMNT has perpetuated the fact that Leo is the oldest out of all of them. Like everything, the cartoon on Nickelodeon, the game, and even the video game. I mean, the game and the movie itself.
Does it explicitly say that he's the oldest?
I think
it doesn't say.
It never says it. It just makes it seem like that Leo is like.
I also think they're all kind of the same age. Yeah.
I think the only reason it's like made out to be that way because they have to like appeal to almost every sort of kid.
It's the '89 show. The '89 show gave them very distinct characters.
Yeah.
And it made them it made them sort of like Mikey's the party dude. Raphael's the sarcastic one, the rough one. Donnie's the brains.
Yeah.
In the comic books, there's no. I mean, like in the early comic books, there's no outward way that Donnie's the brains.
Yeah.
I think at one point he fixes a car that's broken or something, you know. But then they perpetuated that in the '89 show. They're like in the cartoon show, like, oh, he's the inventor.
He's the brain. He's got glasses. He's got a computer.
He's like the nerdy guy, you know. And then and in the '90s Image comics, he becomes like a cyborg. But otherwise in the comic books, it's like sort of like it's just them, 4 brothers, equal respect amongst all of them.
Yeah.
All of them can get equally crazy.
Yeah.
And then it's just them against the world, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like the world, like they're the outsiders. You know?
Okay, so I think because we were talking about like teams and like color-coded characters, I think
Also in the comics they all wear red.
What?
All red.
Wait,
So like
what?
the colors, different colors
No,
thing came
all
after.
red.
Wait,
Yeah.
so the different
Goodness.
colors thing,
That's
that's
from the
like
'89 show.
Oh,
They did it to distinct to distinguish between the characters more.
My
The
goodness.
toys went one step further. They were different colors. I think similar to the Nickelodeon show.
Yeah.
Mikey's like a light green. Leo's like a dark green.
Raphael is a darker green.
Raphael's like almost like a teal green.
yeah.
And Donnie's like a brownish green.
Yeah.
You
But
know-
in the original comics, they all
They all
wore
look the same.
red. Yeah.
Okay, so before I have my mind blown again, let's move on to something completely different. Let's move over to, we talked briefly about, it in like the last session. Let's talk about Avatar and The Last Airbender, not the blue guys, because it's an alright movie, I guess. I think the Avatar movie, I don't know, not the Avatar movie. Let's talk about the good Avatar, the TV show. So yeah, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I loved Avatar I think it's like one of the most best written anime series.
For sure.
Not anime, cartoon series.
Cartoon
You
series.
have to be very careful how you.
It's technically
Yeah.
not an anime.
It's not an anime. It is a
Yeah.
cartoon
Yeah.
because men watch cartoons, not anime. But jokes, yeah, I think it was one of the more best. I love the books. I love the storyline. I love Aang in it. I think my favorite character in the book is in the entire series Zuko. I like his quirkiness. I like how his arc where he's trying to become a leader like his dad. I think that speaks a lot to like a lot of kids, like trying to be someone. And I just love it. What do you think? What do you think about the lineup of shows that are coming up now?
I feel like shows now are just very. We had dumb shows growing up. We had like Ren and Stimpy. We had Beavis and Butthead. But I feel like now, all the shows are so watered down.
Yeah.
It's like they can't accept that a child or someone who's young can take a narrative like Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like Avatar really is one of the last great kids shows.
Yeah.
Because it has these characters who are well written. It has these themes that are sort of mature, and it respects the viewer enough to be like, you know what, you can handle this.
Yeah.
You can handle this.
It was so like if you watch Avatar when you were young, you went to watch the fire bending, the water bending. But now you watch it as an adult, you're like, whoa, there's so much emotion in that
I think that was the
storyline.
benefit I had over you. I got to watch it as an adult.
I mean, yeah.
I think
you rewatch it again and you're like, oh my god, there's so much. Like,
I think like for me, like the best episode is the one that has the least bending, and that's Zuko alone, because that episode has no bending. I think it has a little bit of bending at the very end, but even then Zuko uses his blades instead of his fire bending. Bending, like it's because Mason was saying that you go for the bending at first and then eventually you like the character stuff more.
Yeah.
Like that is probably the best example of it, that like the character stuff is much better than any of the bending could be. Just seeing Zuko go through that journey alone, having not having Uncle Iroh, having to figure out stuff on his own, and him being sort of ostracized for being like the Fire Lord's son, even though he's been so good to them. It was just an amazing thing to see. It's one of the best parts of his journey. So
yeah, my favorite episode, the one that comes to mind right away, is the one where they go to learn firebending from that firebending guy who lives by the river.
Oh,
yeah.
Because then
Where
it's
he's
like
trying to do the leaf thing.
and it really sets into perspective the fact that the Fire Nation aren't bad.
Yeah.
There's no good guys or bad guys. They just have right now they just have a bad leader. At the most, and it puts into question all the things like, are the other nation gang bad because they're just following orders and all that kind of stuff. And it also has my best line from the whole of the Avatar series.
Yeah.
The fish in the river can never fathom the ocean.
Yeah. You think about it, it's a very simple line, but then it gets like deep.
It's
really quickly.
It's deep, man. You don't think small, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta think big. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you said about the Fire Nation being bad, I think the episode where I saw where they went to the school, when Aang went to Fire Nation school, and then he was teaching the students Fire Nation dances. They're like, oh, we have dances, we have Fire Nation dances.
Yeah.
That I think that opened my eyes up to, like, oh, okay, the Fire Nation are not bad. It's their leaders.
It's the leader. Yeah.
And
because because the previous Avatar was from the Fire Nation.
Yeah, he was.
You know?
And
his buddy was from the
he was the Fire Lord.
and his best friend was from the wind. From Aang's place, So
that's one of the best things about like the entire Avatar mythos as like a whole. The fact that it always changes. It's never the same person getting like the Avatar powers for too long. You have the Fire Nation, then you have the air bending, then you have the water bending, then it goes to Earth.
Yeah,
and then I also think it's also like what you were talking about earlier, how you just don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing as well, because you learn about so many things. Even Uncle Iroh, who just starts off, you think he's just some fat drunk uncle, and then by the end
the
of
best
it,
character.
and then you realize from the east or whatever.
He's the best character in that show.
Yeah, it's
Dragon of the West or something
Dragon of the West.
Dragon of the West.
And then you get to find out he was like a big general in the army.
He left because
because his son died.
His son died. Yeah,
and then he goes on to. He was supposed to be the Fire Lord, was it?
Yeah.
And then he gave it all up.
He gave it to
Ozai. Whoa, it like blows your mind. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
But the guy died, huh?
Yeah.
The guy who voices Uncle.
Yeah.
He never got to finish the series.
That's like my second favorite episode, Tales from Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
That of the Vine song.
Oh my god,
man!
I was like bawling my eyes out.
He was the voice.
I think Mako's his name.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Mako.
I think he voiced like a Splinter at one time.
Did he?
For one of the shows. Yeah, I can't remember which one.
Yeah, that
But
voice.
he voiced Splinter once. I might be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that voice is like a mentor, like always.
But the guy who replaced him was Splinter in the TMNT Rises show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just like as a show, it's one of like the best things because all the characters have arcs. Speaking of like your favorite episode, the one where he learns firebending, it's a really sort of a deep dive into Aang's character of how he wants to like quickly learn everything and stuff. And he ends up hurting Katara because of it. Like that's like one of I think the turning point for Aang's characters where he slows down and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take my time and learn all of these techniques and everything well, so I can like understand them. Because I think the whole thing, the show, like that episode in general, starts off with him just mastering water bending like right off the bat, and Katara gets kind of insecure about the fact that she spent her entire life learning this, and Aang learns in like 5.
I think one thing I like about the Avatar series, like every other episode, your mind was just blown.
Yeah.
When the King Boomy episode came and they went to that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you find out they were friends from like all long ago.
That was the
King
friend.
Wow, it was like what? Like
that was a good episode.
The fact that it's just 3 seasons always annoys me,
Yeah.
which brings me to the sequel, 4 seasons of Korra. Now you said that you never really got into Korra.
At first, I enjoyed Korra.
Yeah, first season was awesome.
My biggest gripe with Korra was what's his name? Amon.
Yeah.
Amon.
Yeah.
I hated at first I liked the idea that there was a guy who was anti-bending.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's this world where suddenly when you're a bender, you're like a little bit special.
Yeah.
You know? And then what happens to the common man?
Yeah, and everyone looks up to
Everyone
you.
is a second citizen,
exactly.
you know? Then you have this guy who's like, no, pressure point, boo, boo, boo.
Yeah.
You can't bend anymore.
Yeah.
And then the cop out is, he's a bloodbender.
Yeah.
You know? I wish he was just a dude who was a normal man who was just against the bending. And that would have made him a cool anti-hero.
Yeah, it would have made him a cool anti-hero.
Yeah.
Because we look at that world, like that's one of the reasons I love Korra, is because it built out the world of Avatar so well. Like the fact that there's this kind of like almost Nazi level dude that's just against bending and like bending, even though there's like a few benders.
But he presents himself as a good guy.
Yeah, he presents himself as a good guy. That's one of like the best sort of like moments where they could have like gone a certain way, but instead
I feel like if he was in the original Aang series, he would have been just a dude who does pressure points.
Yeah.
Because they committed to those kind of ideas more. They didn't really paint someone good bad.
Yeah.
If anything, people were misguided.
Yeah.
But he was a criminal.
Yeah.
He was a proper criminal. He was from a criminal organization. He was just a bad dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, so I think we're kind of like rounding out the discussion here. So Clarence, do you want to like talk about something in general, like projects or something that you're really interested in that you want to talk about? Like these last 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm just working on more comics. Working on my second issue now. Hoping to finish that up soon. Got some interesting projects coming up, which might involve the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But I'll let you guys know if that comes through.
We'll get the Clarence's like websites and everything that he's on, and we'll put it into the YouTube links.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so you can go and watch it and review it and see it. So yeah.
So that kind of brings us to the end of the podcast.
Thank you for coming to the podcast.
My
This
pleasure.
has
Thanks for
been
having
the
me.
Island Time show. we hope to have you again sometime.
Yeah.
We hope
Thank
to have
you.
more conversations like this. Just talk about nerding out about comics and
Yeah.
movies. Yeah. So thank you very much again. This has been the Island Time Show with Mason, Zoyal, and Mr. Clarence Das. Thank you again. Have a good one. Bye.